Okay, ready for a deep dive? We're jumping into the alternative, how to build a just economy. And it's amazing how many real-world examples it's packed with.
It's not just theory, right? It's like, look, this town in Spain, these businesses, they're doing things differently.
Totally. And it starts by questioning, like, what even is economics? Remember that Tolstoy story? How much land does a man need?
Oh, yeah, with Paham the peasant.
Yeah, he gets obsessed with getting more and more land.
It's such a smart way to show how we get caught up in that feeling, like, gotta get more, gotta have more, even if it wears you down.
And it's like Tolstoy's hinting at how we view economics, always chasing growth, no matter the cost.
And that constant hunger for more, even if it's at the expense of, like, our well-being or the planet's, it's something a lot of people are feeling these days, right?
Absolutely. The book then argues that economics often feels like this rigged game.
Yeah, and it all comes down to how it's presented. Like, they make it seem like this rigid science with these set-in-stone laws.
So you're not supposed to question the rules, just how to win at their game.
Exactly. And guess who benefits from those rules? The book uses these historical examples. Like, back in the early 1900s, you had William Graham Sumner, this Yale professor.
Okay.
And he was saying that wealth concentration, basically rich people getting richer, was just inevitable. And then the Bureau of Corporations was putting out similar stuff.
So they're basically saying inequality is like just a fact of life, nothing we can do.
Pretty much. And what's scary is this is still happening. The book even mentions this article from 2014 in Science magazine, pushing the same narrative about inequality being natural.
Wow. And what about the Nobel Prize in economics? Doesn't that lend legitimacy to this whole economics as a science idea?
It's interesting you bring that up because even Hayek, a Nobel laureate and huge proponent of free markets, he was critical of making economics seem like physics.
Makes you wonder if we should see economics more as like a tool for persuasion than a neutral field. And it makes you think, like, how do we even measure value in the first place? Not just theoretically, but in our daily lives. The book dives into this with this idea of true pricing, which is fascinating.
Yeah, true pricing. It's like, okay, that price tag on your shirt, that's not the whole story.
Right. What about the environmental impact, the resources used, the workers' conditions, all that?
Exactly, all those hidden costs. And the book gives this great example, a grocery store in Amsterdam. They had the regular price tags, but next to them, true price tags.
I can just imagine that you're walking down the aisle and bam, the difference hits you.
It makes you stop and think, right? Because suddenly you're confronting the real cost of your choices.
And those costs, they often fall on the people and places least able to bear them, right?
Exactly. True pricing isn't just about making things transparent. It's about, well, shifting those costs to where they belong.
So like those environmental and social costs would be factored in.
Exactly. Then it's not just on the consumer to make the ethical choice, right? Governments, companies, they'd have to step up too.
It makes you wonder, could this be the next big thing? Like how organic went mainstream, but then are people really ready to pay more, to align their values with their shopping cart?
It's a tough one. The book mentions this bakery, also in Amsterdam, that tried to be more sustainable.
Oh, right. What happened?
Well, their prices went up, obviously, and customers pushed back. They had to dial it back.
It's kind of discouraging, right? Like, we want to do the right thing, but then the price tag makes us hesitate.
It shows how complex it is. But maybe, instead of focusing only on the price of, I don't know, a loaf of bread, we should be talking about the true price of labor, too.
Oh, absolutely. The book's discussion of living wages was powerful. That story of Lexi Grant, the single mom working as a cleaner, it really got to me.
Yeah, it highlights how, for so many people, a living wage as it is now, it's barely enough to keep your head above water.
It makes you question the whole definition, right?
Yeah.
If it doesn't cover basic needs, what are we even talking about?
Right. The book points out how even the living wage calculator, which a lot of companies use, it often falls short. It doesn't account for unexpected costs, childcare, saving.
So it's like a survival wage then,
Yeah.
not really living. It makes you wonder what it would take to actually create a society where all work is valued fairly.
It's a huge question, and the book explores that by taking us to places like Mondragon in Spain.
Mondragon. Okay, I'm intrigued. What's special about it?
Well, imagine a whole town built around worker cooperatives.
A whole town.
It's pretty amazing. This priest, Father Arizmendi Arrieta, he saw all this poverty and inequality back in the 40s and was like, we need a different system.
So he started with this idea of worker-owned businesses.
Yeah, they started small, making kerosene stoves, but fast forward to today, Mondragon's this thriving economic hub.
Okay, but what does that look like day to day? What are worker cooperatives?
So instead of having bosses and shareholders, the workers are the owners. They make the decisions, share the profits.
It's like democratizing a company.
Yeah. And the book talks about this company, Soralus, a machine tool company in Mondragon. What's interesting is how invested the workers are. It's not just a job. It's like, this is theirs.
They've got skin in the game. It's like they're rewriting the rules of capitalism, showing there are other ways to do things.
It's like that Basque myth about slaying the dragon, you know? The villagers, they don't wait for a hero. They band together and do it themselves.
And that's Mondragon. They saw a problem and built their own solution. It's so inspiring. But I mean, I can't just move to a worker cooperative town. Does the book have any ideas for people who want to create change like here and now?
For sure. One thing they talk about is purpose trusts.
Purpose trusts. It sounds kind of, I don't know, official.
It's a legal thing, yeah, but with a cool purpose. Like, instead of shareholders owning a company, it's this trust, and it's got a mission.
Okay, so you're locking in the company's values from the get-go.
Exactly. The book tells the story about Kate Emery, this digital consultant. She wanted to make sure her company didn't lose its soul after she left.
Yeah, get gobbled up by some corporation, lose its way.
Right, so she put it in a perpetual purpose trust. It's like, you know how you'd set up a trust for a kid? This is for the company forever.
So it's always got to stay true to that original vision.
Yeah, and they give this example, Firebrand Bakery. They're all about hiring folks who often face barriers, like people coming out of prison.
Oh, wow. Did they talk about any of the bakers specifically?
Yeah, there's this guy, Leonard. His story's amazing. And it shows you can bake social justice right into how you do business.
It's not just about the bottom line then? Though they must be making it work financially, right?
That's where these impact investors come in. They're not just chasing profits. They want their money to do good.
So lower returns maybe, but with a social purpose.
Exactly. And the cool thing is, the book connects this to housing too.
Oh, right. They were talking about, what were they called? MINTs?
Yeah, mixed income neighborhood trusts. It's like, imagine if a trust owned land and housing so it stays affordable, even if the neighborhood gets trendy.
That's huge, especially with so many places getting so expensive so fast.
Right. It's about treating housing as a right, not just something you buy and sell for profit.
So we've gone from companies to neighborhoods with this trust idea. Pretty powerful stuff. What about whole cities, though? Can they get in on this?
The book takes us to Cascais in Portugal, beautiful coastal town, but they did something radical with their budget, participatory budgeting.
Wait, the citizens decide how to spend the city's money? How does that even work?
Basically, every year, people submit ideas, parks, bike lanes, whatever. Then they have these big meetings, online forums, and everyone votes.
It sounds almost too good to be true. Like, would that really work everywhere?
Well, that's what's fascinating about Cascais. They've made it work. Part of it's the safeguards they put in place.
The book mentioned, like those colored stickers they use in meetings, right?
Sure. Yeah. So no one group can dominate. It's about making sure everyone has a voice. And it seems to be working. People are way more engaged in local politics.
It's a powerful example of, like, giving people real power makes a difference. Then there's Oslo, right?
Yeah.
With their climate budgeting.
Right. They're like, we can't wait for national governance. So they're putting money where their mouth is, funding local climate action.
So throughout this whole deep dive, there's this theme of action, right? Workers in Mondragon, communities setting up trusts, cities trying new things.
Yeah, it goes back to that core idea. We're not powerless. The economy isn't this fixed thing. We can shape it if we have the will.
It's a hopeful message for sure. Like, we don't have to settle for the way things are.
Exactly. We have more power than we think.
So if you're feeling inspired, if you want to dig deeper into these alternatives and what a just economy could look like, The Alternative, How to Build a Just Economy is definitely worth checking out. It'll give you a lot to think about, maybe even inspire you to take action.